Hi, I'm Jack Davenport and welcome to Sky Guide. It's a show that explores a world that I don't think has ever really been explored on television before, that of big Broadway musical theatre. And you don't have to be a fan of musical theatre to get it, in so much as it's basically a workplace drama, but just a workplace you won't have seen before, which I think in and of itself can be quite interesting. Plus, we also have battalions of incredibly talented young people doing something very difficult amazingly well. I don't include myself in that group of young people. I'm far too old, but we do have that, and who doesn't like watching that? I think it's fair in so much as we both have some songs. Beyond that, I think probably not. I think Glee. We're grateful to Glee. Glee is the first successful show on television that has a musical component almost ever. It's never really worked up till now. No one's quite sure why. Maybe small screen, big emotions of songs. I'm not quite sure. But beyond that, Glee set in a high school. Everyone bursts into song more or less randomly because they're adolescent and they just can't hold it in. Whereas in our show, if people sing, there's a reason to sing, i.e. they would be singing in reality. And also, very uniquely, not just as compared to Glee, but as anything that's ever been on television, the show is tracking the creation of a show from the first idea to it, hopefully ending up on Broadway at the end. And so week on week, we have these original songs, not karaoke numbers like they have on Glee, where you start to see how one musical number slots into another one, and this thing starts to get built more and more and more as the weeks go by. And again, if people are singing them, it's because they're singing them either on stage or in a rehearsal room. And you get to see how those songs change through different interpretations and so on and so forth. So, it's that funny thing of like people always feel a bit more comfortable being able to compare something to something. But at the same time, if I was here promoting a cop show, we'd be pretending like there'd never been a cop show on television ever before. But because there's one other show with some singing, we have to kind of compare it to that, which I think is kind of like, it doesn't really hold water as a comparison beyond the fact that people sing. I think he has some questionable work methods, in so much as in the pilot episode, there is a sequence where I invite Catherine McPhee's character to my apartment ostensibly to work on some scenes. And it's funny, people have sort of interpreted that scene in different ways. Yes, it's 10 o'clock at night, but at no point do I suggest that we be doing anything other than talk or work on a scene. How she chooses to end that scene is her choice. None of what she does do I instruct her to do. And in many ways, the way that scene plays out, it is about my character trying to find something out about this young woman, because she's completely new. We know she can sing, but it's a huge ask to get any actress to play Marilyn Monroe in a musical. It's a big deal. So he's trying to sort of peel back some layers of this young woman and find out what she's about, really. And part of the way he manipulates situations is to make people uncomfortable or throw them off balance. But sleazy, I don't know. And again, in episode 2, I do end up sleeping with Megan's character, Ivy. But Ivy's eyes are pretty wide open, and the truth is that Derek's too much of an egomaniac, and also cares too much about his professional reputation to cast someone because they slept with him. He's going to cast the person he thinks can do the job best, whether they sleep with him or not. And it's kind of by the by. So I personally don't think he's sleazy. I think he's challenging, and I think in a world of industrial tribunals, he could find himself in trouble at times. But it's a kind of a fine, it's a bit of a tightrope with that one. you're going to kind of love most of them, to be honest. I mean, our two young women, Megan Hilty and Catherine McPhee, are extraordinary, and the very definition of sort of triple threat actresses. They can act and they can sing and they can dance and they can do it all at once, and they're wonderful at it. And you'll find yourself kind of rooting for one or the other one, either consistently or it'll change backwards and forwards, because they're both their characters are quite complex. I think you will find yourself being very fond of Christian Ball's character Tom, who's really the sort of nicest character in the show. He's adorable, sensitive, intelligent character. Angelica Houston really doesn't need me to introduce her. She's Angelica Houston, for God's sake, and is regal and wonderful and funny, and again gets to do lots of things you wouldn't expect to see her doing. And Deborah Messing, who plays Julia, who everyone knows from kind of Will and Grace and stuff like that. Deborah gets to do so many things I've never seen her do, in terms of she's not the most sympathetic you've ever seen her in this show, and she's a very flawed character and quite selfish at times and regretful and damaged, and she does it so beautifully. And I think all of the main characters are gratifyingly complicated and kind of keep you guessing about their behaviour a lot of the time. So you'll hopefully love most of them and occasionally hate them. That whole battle is, I suppose you could call that the sort of A story, because it involves, I mean, the A story is really the creation of the show, and there's a certain amount of toing and froing about who plays the role. But beyond that, there's a lot of very tantalising subplot that are some of them are to do with the personal lives of some of the characters, and some of them are to do with people develop relationships at work and outside of work, and I mean it's the stuff of television drama, really. No, I really didn't like them, and I kind of do. I think partly because I didn't understand quite how much work they took, and quite what skill and dedication, and and a ridiculous set of abilities. I mean, you sort of have to be a freak of nature to be able to do what they do, and I have now seen enough of them. It used to slightly annoy me when they burst into... I always like quite comical musicals, like Little Shop of Horrors. But when it got more serious, I was like, why don't you just say it? Stop singing. But I don't feel that way anymore. Partly because I've just got a vague understanding of how hard it is to do what they do. So I guess it's respect.